Unskilled labor is a bull term that's meant to make people feel like they don't deserve fair pay or benefits.
Oh, yes, it's the war on words. If unskilled labor wouldn't exist in the English language, it would have powerful economic consequences. It's not that the economy in itself is causing some people to earn less than others. No, no, no. It's the words. The fact that you can go to a person and you can point at him and you're saying, "You are an unskilled laborer." And the guy goes, "Who, me?" "Yes, you." And then he goes like, "Oh my God, oh, I feel so dehumanized. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm not worth getting bigger wages. I feel that I'm not worth benefits. Curse you, English language, curse you." If it wasn't for these two terms, I would have gone out, I would have striked, I would have demanded more money from my greedy capitalist boss. But unfortunately, these two words, they took all of my fighting spirit out of me. These two words, unskilled labor, just put me in my place. God damn it. So this is like the mindset of people on the far left. It's just bewildering. Okay, let's talk about what unskilled labor really is. It is a labor that anyone can do. It is something that basically says you're easily replaceable. If you don't like it, they will find 10,000 other people that can perform just as well as you can. For example, flipping burgers at a McDonald's. What skill does it require? Anyone can do it. Anyone can flip some burgers at a McDonald's. It's a job that's so easy that now they're even using machines to do it, replacing humans altogether. This is why that particular job is paid so little. Because it's a job that doesn't require you to spend 4 years at a university to learn a specific skill. And even if you have like the best burger flipper in the world versus the most average burger flipper in the world, it's not really going to increase your profits that much. It's just that someone is going to flip the burgers a little bit better, but at the end of the day, it's the same shit. Now, if you take a skilled job, like for instance, being a chef, someone like, let's say, Gordon Ramsay is obviously going to add more to your business if you manage to get him hired. So you are going to pay him a lot more than you pay someone who can just flip burgers, because Gordon Ramsay is irreplaceable. He's just, the one person with the brand that not only is going to provide really good meals for you, but it's also going to raise the status of your restaurant because people associate his image to that restaurant. So this is why some people are being paid more and some people are being paid less.
Or benefits. Well, to hell with that. All labor is skilled labor. In this country, you're not paid based on the skills that you have. If that were the case, the Kardashians wouldn't have a fleet of Maseratis. No, in America, you're paid based on what you can bargain for. And for decades now, American workers haven't had the bargaining power that they used to.
So this gentleman does not appreciate the difference required in the training of a skill to learn different labors. So if I were to tell you, this person who never stepped into a kitchen, I'm going to train him for a month, and then he's going to make hamburgers for you. Will you buy hamburgers from him? Chances are you'd say yes. If I were to say this person has never touched a mop in his life, but I'm going to teach him how to mop the floors, and in a month's time, he's going to be your janitor. Chances are you'll be fine with that, right? But what if I were to say, this guy has never stepped into a hospital, and I'm going to train him, and in a month, he's going to perform surgery on you. You're going to find that absurd, won't you? Well, what if I were to say, well, this guy has never touched an airplane before, but I'm going to train him how to fly one, and in one month, he's going to be your pilot. So you notice that it's ridiculous because deep down inside, you understand that some jobs are far more complex, and it's far more difficult to find people performing them. Thus, the people who can fly an airplane are quite rare in a society, and companies are willing to pay more for them because they're more difficult to replace than someone who is mopping the floors. Anyone can mop the floors, but not everyone can pilot an airplane. A really great example is that during World War II, pilots of airplanes were considered far more valuable than your average soldier. Like the military would talk about losing pilots as a far more dramatic thing than losing soldiers. Why do you think that is? It's because everyone could be a soldier, like everyone could just get a rifle and fight, but not everyone could have been a pilot. Being a pilot required specific training. It required a longer period of time. Replenishing the pilot supply for the military was a lot more difficult. So as you can see, even if you remove the economic aspect, society still puts more values on jobs that only some people can perform versus jobs that everyone can perform. So in conclusion, the guy making this video is correct in his assessment that you are not being paid based on skill. However, skill does take into account on the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is how replaceable you are. If you are a person that's easy to be replaced, you're going to be paid very little. And if you're a person that's extremely difficult to replace, you're going to be paid a lot. Being extremely skilled at what you do or taking up the position of a very high-skilled job is going to increase your pay, but that's not the only aspect. So for instance, the Kardashians are being paid so much because they are irreplaceable. Only the Kardashians can be the Kardashians. And what the Kardashians managed to do is they found something in the market that people like, and they created a brand based around that. So if I hire one of the Kardashians for a television show, it's going to increase my ratings and I will have more profit simply because it's one of the Kardashians that is now going to appear on my show. So it is about the brand that you're purchasing. Even though technically the Kardashians, you can say they're not skilled, and I would heavily disagree. The skill of the Kardashians is to get people interested in someone's business. Like, people hire the Kardashians for their brand. So if I were to get the Kardashians to support my channel, to go on television and say, hey, there's a Romanian YouTuber V, he's got a YouTube channel, he's got interesting things to say. If I were to get to do that, my traffic on my channel would increase exponentially. I would make exponentially more money just because a Kardashian did that. And that is the skill that the Kardashians have. The skill is to get people interested in a product. And as you can see, there are very few people in the world that have the skill that the Kardashians have. Because if I were to get some random guy on the street saying, hey, maybe you should watch V's channel, then no one is going to care. And the Kardashians are aware of this. They're aware that there are very few people in the world that have the power they do, the skill they do, to drive people to someone else's business. And this is why they charge a lot if you want their brand associated with whatever business you're having.
In America, you're paid based on what you can bargain for. And for decades now, American workers haven't had the bargaining power that they used to. You know those old factory jobs that people love to romanticize? You know, back in my day, a man could work on the floor and still afford to have a house and 2 cars and a general disregard for the rights of others, whatever. The people that did those jobs weren't treated well because of the skills they had. They were treated well because they demanded it.
Ah, yes, he's absolutely correct. See, these are the wonders of capitalism, where you can negotiate your wage. In socialist Romania, you couldn't negotiate your wage. The government set the wages, and if you didn't have a job and the police would catch you on the street during working hours, they would take you to the police section, beat you up, and then throw you in a factory where you had to work. So there wasn't that much negotiation going between the workers and the employer. However, in America, that's not the case. In America, you can negotiate your salary. However, in order to negotiate your salary, you need to be able to have something over your boss. You need to be able to threaten your boss with something if the negotiations do not go your way. So what the workers have that the boss doesn't want is like, well, if you don't pay me, I will quit. I will quit my job if you don't pay me. And right here, we have the question how replaceable you are. If you're a guy flipping burgers at McDonald's and you tell your boss, I will quit my job if you don't pay me more, the boss is going to laugh at you. He's like, oh, fucking quit. I got this trash bin with 6 other applicants that I had to throw away. I'll just pick a random one and hire that guy instead of you. Or better yet, I'll just hire a machine to do your job. I don't fucking care if we quit, right? So as you can see, the unskilled person flipping burgers at McDonald's doesn't really have anything to threaten his boss with. Meanwhile, let's say you're at the hospital and you're one of the most renowned surgeons in the world, and you're going to tell your boss, yeah, I think I'm one of the most renowned surgeons in the world. You're going to pay me more, or else I quit. So now the person in charge of the hospital is going to think, well, okay, so if this guy quits, it's going to be very difficult to hire someone else, until I find someone with the same level of skills. He's probably going to have to go through another training process so we can teach him how we do things in our hospital compared to the hospital he's coming from. If this guy quits, he might go to a competitor, and my competitor is going to get more clients. So now, right, you actually have something over your boss. And this is why unskilled labor is being paid so little, because it's easy to replace the unskilled labor, whether, someone that's very skilled and someone that's irreplaceable is someone that you can't afford to lose. Now, with that said, in America, you also have another problem. So on top of the fact that you got automatization coming in, you have a lot of illegal immigrants also coming in. So now, not only were people replaceable before, they're now even more replaceable. And if you're a company that basically hires someone flipping burgers at McDonald's, and he decides to quit, you can hire an illegal that's willing to work even for less than the previous guy. And therefore, you made the previous guy even more replaceable. And this is why the middle class and the upper class are for illegal immigration, because they don't give a shit. It's not affecting them. If you'd have a million pilots coming from Mexico into the United States, you would see that the pilots in the United States will all of a sudden be for building a wall. If you had a million lawyers and doctors and highly trained people coming into the United States from China, all of a sudden you're going to see that the middle class will be for building that wall. But until you don't see that, right? So what happens is you only get unskilled laborers coming in. And this is why it's the working class that votes for Donald Trump. It's because they are made even more replaceable than initially were. So their wages are going to go even lower. And it's something that affects only the lower class. The middle class loves it, right? Because the middle class is getting cheaper iPhones. The company paying workers less means they can cut the price on the final product. So the people that are, in the middle class, they get cheaper iPhones. And of course, they think that immigration is an amazing thing, because all of their prices are going down. Meanwhile, is the person that's being the working class who's struggling to find work, who's struggling to find a job, and he is the one that's going to be called the racist because he wants the wall to be built.
Third, unions. Unions are the backbone of the American middle class, and yet, since 1983, union membership has been cut in half. And guess what? Wages have fallen right alongside it. American workers could be making on average about $3,100 more per year if union membership had stayed steady.
He was so close to getting it. He was almost so close to getting it, but then he lost the picture. And what he is saying just enforces what I have been saying. So, alright, what is a union? Well, the idea of a union is that you're going to get all the workers to cooperate, and you can threaten your boss and say, if you don't pay us more, we will quit. What are you going to do? Fire all of us? Is the boss really going to fire all of us? And the answer is yes. Yes, the boss is literally going to fire all of you fucks. This is why the unions aren't working, and this is why workers are losing trust in the unions. Because if you're in the United States and you work at flipping burgers, I love giving this example because I flipped burgers when I was a kid. So if let's say all of the McDonald's people get together and they say, you know what, if you don't pay us more, we'll quit. McDonald's can just say, well, fucking quit. I'll replace you with machines. I replace you with robots. I don't need you. Fuck off. And what is the union going to do then? What exactly do they have on me either than the fact that they can get their workers to quit? The answer is nothing. Jack shit. So therefore they don't have any more negotiating power. Now let's add illegals into the equation. I'm not talking about immigrants that come legally, because they're another story and you'll see why. I'm talking about people who hop the border illegally into the United States. Now, if I have workers that say they want to quit, I'll say quit. I'll replace you with illegals. And when you get the illegal in, what is he going to do? Is he going to complain that he's being paid less? Is he going to maybe complain that I'm making him work extra hours? Is he going to complain that I put him into dangerous working environments? Of course not, because the moment he complains, he's going to be deported. If he doesn't like it and he goes to the police to rat on the fact that I make him work in a sweatshop, he's going to get deported. And the corporations know this. Why do you think so many corporations constantly give money to the left? It's because out of empathy. Are you fucking retarded? Like, honestly, how can a people that are left-leaning think this? They on one hand, they think that corporations are very greedy and they like to exploit people and they're the bane of capitalism. But on the other hand, they don't notice that almost every single corporation was giving money to Hillary Clinton, who was against building the wall. She was for illegal immigration. How does these two make sense? Why is it that, like, at one point a short circuit appear in the head of a leftist? Because it shouldn't be that way, should it? The reality is that for these corporations, the illegal immigrants are like indentured servants. They can do whatever the fuck they want to them. They can abuse them as much as they want. They can pay them for as little as they want. They will never be able to unionize. They will never be able to go to the government and complain, because the moment they do, they get deported. And you can't get away with this shit if you do it to legal migrants. Legal migrants can actually go to the press and say, look, my boss is forcing me to work 12 hours a day without paying me extra. My boss made me clean this machinery while the machine was running, and I lost my arm. Legal migrants can do this, right? Which is why they will prefer to hire illegal over legal migrants. And at the end of the day, it just makes the rich richer. It just makes the corporations richer because they're operating on capitalism, and they have a bunch of people willing to work for less and willing to be subjected to abuse that other people wouldn't. So of course they're going to hire from the people that are willing to work for less. Of course they're going to hire the people that they can abuse. Of course the people who get cheaper iPhones are going to be happy because of it. And of course the people who are the actual working class, they're going to be unhappy because now it's not only machines they have to compete with that are taking away their jobs. It's other people that are not only taking away their jobs, but they're willing to do for less, and they're willing to be abused for it. So yeah, again, this is why the working class are the racists that vote for Trump and they want to build a wall and all of that shit, because they want to get their power back. They want to get their power to say, no, if you don't do what I want, I will quit. And right now that power is being diluted.
It doesn't make any sense when Donald Trump talks about reopening coal mines and old school factories. We shouldn't be focused on bringing back the jobs that gave people black lungs and broken backs. We should be focused on bringing back the things that those jobs used to offer. Fair pay, overtime, pension, health insurance. Because see, the coal miners of yesterday are the retail workers and fast food workers of today. They're flipping your burgers, they're bagging your groceries, they're making your little coffee art and all kinds of stuff. But they don't have the same power to bargain for benefits that people used to have. Share this video if you believe rich corporations should pay living wages.
This is why I find it absolutely amusing, is that the left has policies that are fucking the worker, and then it's also the left coming back with quote-unquote solutions to unfuck the worker, and they're blaming what they caused. They blame it on corporations, and they blame it on capitalism, and they blame it on all this shit. So first of all, like, this guy doesn't understand economics at all. It's like, he thinks that nowadays coal miners are going to get black lung and they're going to get broken backs just like in the old days. Well, don't we use machines now? Don't we have automatization? Like, the job of a coal miner is not the same as the one before, where you go with a pickaxe and you pick at the damn coal. It's a completely different work environment in 2018. Technology has advanced, you caveman. And it's also unfair to compare a guy flipping burgers with a miner from back in the old days. Back in the old days, a miner was raised since birth into that environment. Like, you would be born in a mining town, your dad was a miner, he would take you from a young age to mine, and it would actually develop your body muscles in a way that would make you be a proper miner. because it was a work done by hand, not a work done with machines. So the miners were actually quite difficult to replace because you could only hire people from that specific town that did the work as good. You could hire people from other towns and other things, but they wouldn't be as good as one of the miners doing there. And because it was such an unhealthy profession, as you pointed out, it's why those miners were getting high pay, because they would risk literally their lives by working in the mine. So when miners would go on strike, companies would actually be scared, because they would be, well, if the miners aren't working, my money isn't going to roll in. So they had to negotiate. They had to do something about it in order to fix the strike. Now, when it comes to people working at Starbucks, if they go on strike, who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? Like the company who owns Starbucks is like, okay, so in this town, all the people went on strike. You say, well, just fire them. We'll hire new people. We're going to hire some illegals to do it. And that's it. You couldn't have done this to the miners. But anyway, I thought this is going to be an interesting video. I hope you guys managed to understand a little bit about how economy works. At the most basic level, like I'm not even talking about shit that's advanced. I'm not even talking about stuff that's difficult to grasp. But I have seen a lot of leftists constantly ask, it's like, well, why is a nurse getting paid less than a Kardashian? And I hope I managed to answer that question. It's because the nurse is easy to replace. Meanwhile, the Kardashian brand, which can drive business to you, is unique.